Have you ever felt like the world was crumbling around you, only to realize later that you were actually being rescued? It's a bitter pill to swallow when someone you poured your soul into suddenly vanishes, or when a relationship you fought for with every fiber of your being just stops. You sit there in the wreckage, questioning your worth, wondering what you did wrong, and begging for an explanation that never comes. But here's the shocking truth you need to hear today. God didn't remove them because he was punishing you. He removed you because he was protecting his investment. He saw them mishandling his most precious gift hand. That gift was you. Now, listen closely. There comes a point where the divine stops explaining and starts moving. And when he moves you out of someone's life, it isn't a mistake or a cosmic blunder. It's a message. It's a loud, clear signal that your light was too bright for a room that preferred the shadows. You didn't walk away because you were weak or because you couldn't handle the heat. You were removed because you were too strong to stay in a place where you were no longer valued. Think about it. You were the prayer they took for granted. You were the peace they didn't recognize, and the love they simply didn't respect. And when the Creator saw them fumbling his blessing, he didn't raise his voice or send a bolt of lightning. He did something far more powerful. He simply took you out of the equation. He retracted the grace you brought into their world. And it's only now, in the deafening silence you left behind, that they are starting to feel the weight of what they've lost. They aren't feeling your wrath. They're feeling his discipline. Because God doesn't just expose people, actions he reveals their true value by taking it away. Right now, they are living in the echo of a ghost, haunted by the memory of a person they weren't big enough to keep. We often mistake abandonment for rejection, but in reality, it's often deliverance. You might be crying over losing them, but God saw what was happening behind those closed doors when you weren't looking. He saw the manipulation that slipped past your kind heart. He heard the mockery they masked with a fake smile and felt the hidden jealousy lurking behind their empty praise. He watched them treat your loyalty like it was disposable and your trust like a plaything. Your heart was screaming for understanding. But the divine wasn't interested in your comfort, he was interested in your calling. So, he pulled you out. It was a quiet, sudden, and perhaps even a brutal removal. It hurt like nothing else, didn't it? But that pain was just the breaking of a chain. It was divine protection, disguised as a heartbreak. Sometimes, you don't get closure because you aren't supposed to go back to what broke you. If you had been given a full explanation, your kind, fixing soul would have tried to mend something that was never meant to be repaired. You would have made excuses for their toxicity and tried to heal their brokenness at the expense of your own spirit. So, like a protective father shutting a dangerous door, he stepped in. You thought you were losing people, but you were actually losing the dead weight that was anchoring you to a life beneath your purpose. That removal wasn't a rejection of your character. It was a redirection of your destiny. It wasn't a punishment for your past. It was a promotion into your future. The divine was saying, I have a flood of new blessings waiting for you, but I won't pour them into a space poisoned by people who do you want to honor your worth. When the hand of the Almighty is on your life, he won't let you settle for crumbs. He won't allow you to keep giving your light to people who choose to live in the dark. He knows your heart better than you do. He sees your intentions, even when they are twisted by others. He recognizes when someone is using your softness as a weapon against you. So, before it destroys your spirit entirely, he intervenes. Not to shame them, but to save you. It's so easy to hold on to what's familiar, even when that familiarity is killing you. You tell yourself, if I just love a bit harder, they'll change. Or if I give a bit more, they'll finally see what I'm worth. But the truth is, your healing was never going to come from another hollow apology. It was always going to come from separation. Some people will never appreciate the gift you are while you still standing there handing it to them. They need to feel the biting cold of life without your warmth. They need to experience the chaos of a world without your wisdom, and the harshness of a life without your compassion, covering them every time they fall. Sometimes, the most powerful thing that can happen for your growth is to be pulled away. How many times did you cry yourself to sleep after being mistreated, only to wake up and go right back for more? How many times did you shrink your spirit and dim your light just to keep the peace in an atmosphere that was never designed for you to thrive? That wasn't love. Mate, that was survival. And you weren't created to just survive in silence. You were created to thrive in truth. That's why the separation had to happen, even if it broke your heart into 1,000 pieces. Because if you had stayed, you would have missed the future that was actually prepared for you. You would have missed the people who are destined to pour into you the same way you pour into them. Looking back, you'll see that the separation was sacred. It was a rescue mission. Your purpose was rescued from a place that couldn't handle its weight. Your heart was rescued from hands that were only interested in wounding it. Your mind was rescued from words that were poisoning your potential. You were never meant to be used. You were meant to be honored. People get comfortable with your goodness, don't they? They start thinking your forgiveness is a weakness they can exploit. They start believing your loyalty is a lifetime guarantee, regardless of how they treat you. And that's exactly when the shift happens. God lets them feel the absence of your presence. He lets them sit in the heavy silence of the love they once ignored. He lets them taste the hollow emptiness of what they threw away. This isn't God being cruel to them. It's Him being just to you. Your heart was never a playground, and your spirit was never meant to be shattered just to satisfy someone else's ego. The beauty of this process is that when you are removed, you are also restored. The healing begins in the space where the noise used to be. Without their manipulation, you can finally feel peace. Without their weight, you could finally rise. You begin to see clearly for the first time in years. You begin to dream again, and you realize with a startling clarity that their absence wasn't the end of your book. It was the beginning of a far better chapter. So, don't you dare chase what was intentionally removed. Don't waste another tear grieving over people who mishandled the gold in your soul. Let them sit in the cold space where your grace used to be. Let them feel the heavy silence that your presence once covered so effortlessly. Because while they are scratching their heads trying to figure out where you went, the divine is busy preparing exactly where you are going. And trust me on this. Where you're headed is filled with people who see you, who honor you, and who thank the heavens daily that you were removed from the wrong ones just in time. You aren't bitter. You're blessed. You aren't broken. You're being rebuilt into something far more formidable. You haven't been forgotten. You've been favored. Absence reveals impact in a way that words never can. Sometimes, your presence is so powerful, so healing, and so consistent that people actually forget it's a blessing. They start treating your love like it's a birthright rather than a privilege. They start expecting your support as if it's an unpaid debt. They treat your loyalty like it costs you nothing. And that is where the shift occurs. That is when the divine sees that your value is being consumed like a commodity rather than cherished like a treasure. So, He pulls you away. He doesn't do it with a dramatic shout. He does it with a whisper, a quiet, graceful removal. And it is in that quiet that your absence begins to shout louder than your voice ever did. Because when you're gone, the things you did without a single complaint suddenly go undone. The prayers you whispered over them stop flowing. The light and peace you brought into the room vanish, leaving the air heavy and the conversations hollow. Suddenly, the chaos they used to dump on you has nowhere to go. That's when the realization hits them like a freight train. You weren't just another person. You were the blessing they overlooked. People often don't recognize the feast until they're starving, and they don't value the warmth until the room goes pitch black. You were that covering. You were the one standing in the gap when everyone else vanished. You were the one who forgave when anyone else would have walked away. But they mocked your consistency. They laughed at your patience and drained your battery while questioning your worth. This isn't about revenge. It's about revelation. The truth is being revealed through your absence. Your silence is echoing through their world until it becomes a roar. You were the peace they prayed for, and they blew it. By the time they feel the sting of your absence, you are already being healed. In a new, sacred space, you are no longer within their reach. You've stopped trying to explain yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you from the start. You've stopped begging to be seen by eyes that were never open. Let's be honest here. Presence was doing far more than you even realized. You were the anchor, the encourager, and the protector. You were pouring into them when their own cups were empty. But they treated you like an option until you were no longer on the menu. Now, they have to sit with the full weight of their own choices. They can't mess up and have you cover for them anymore. They can't hurt you and watch you heal yourself while they watch. They are alone with their own behavior, staring at a hollow silence that used to be filled with your comfort. And it isn't comfortable anymore. It's cold, Your absence is now preaching a sermon that their pride refused to hear when you were speaking in love. You are not replaceable. Your heart and your wisdom are rare finds in this world. The people who thought they could do better without you are currently learning just how wrong they were. The divine allows them to feel the weight of your absence, so they can finally understand the weight of your presence. Not everyone has the strength to love like you did. Not everyone will ride for them when they are broken. Not everyone will stay when the storm hits. Your impact doesn't need a defense. It is proven by the massive emptiness you left behind. When a space falls apart after you leave, that isn't your fault, it's proof that you were the foundation holding the whole thing up. Don't you ever regret being the blessing. Don't you dare shrink yourself because someone else couldn't handle your magnitude. Your presence carried weight, and your absence is doing what your words could undo for years. It is awakening their conscience. Now they're replaying the tapes. Now they're looking in the mirror and realizing they threw away someone sent from above. But you're walking forward now. You're no longer bleeding for people who wouldn't even offer you a bandage. You're no longer fighting for a seat at a table where you were never fed. You are stepping into a season of divine alignment, where you are celebrated, not just taught. You no longer argue over your value because you know your worth is non-negotiable. Your absence will reveal what your heart never could. Let them feel it. Let them sit in it. There is a specific, deep pain that comes from the people you chose. To love the ones you stood by when no one else would. You gave them grace upon grace. You gave them second chances when they gave you betrayal. You saw the gold in them while their actions were led. But they didn't see your grace as a gift. They saw it as a green light to keep hurting you. They thought because you loved them, you'd never have the nerve to leave. But grace has a limit. When the Creator sees his child being used as a doormat while giving their absolute all, he cuts the cord. He removes you to deliver you. Every time you wiped your own tears just to be strong for them, that was grace. Every time you prayed for them in secret while they were ignoring you, that was grace. And they abused it. They thought your mercy was a lack of options. They mistook your mercy for a lack of self-respect. They honestly believed that because your heart was so vast, it would never run out of room for their excuses. But God was watching the ledger. He saw that your grace was becoming a highway for your own heartbreak. So he shut the gate. He ended the cycle that they were too comfortable to break themselves. He saved you from a future of being a shadow in your own life. And the moment you were gone, the atmosphere shifted. The protection you provided, that invisible shield of prayer and peace that followed you, was suddenly revoked. Now, life isn't so smooth for them. They're realizing that your love wasn't just a nice to have, it was their lifeline. When the divine removes a shield they never thanked him for, they start to feel the full force of the storm. They sit in the silence where your encouragement used to echo, and it's deafening. That is the justice of a protective father, not in seeking vengeance with fire, but in letting them sit with the consequences of their own pride. You were never weak, and you were never naive. You were chosen to carry a light into a dark place. But that light wasn't meant to be extinguished. You are a vessel of purpose. And when your grace becomes a burden that weighs down your calling, God intervenes. He elevates you from the pit they tried to keep you in. He silences their noise so you can finally hear his voice again. As you rise, they are left to fall not because you wished it, but because they built their entire comfort on the back of your sacrifice. Now that the support is gone, the structure is failing. They're relearning the hard way that not everyone will offer unconditional love or being treated with conditional respect. You are a rarity, a one-off, and they let you slip through their fingers. So walk in that truth. No more explaining. No more shrinking to fit into spaces that are too small for your spirit. You don't owe them another ounce of your energy. What you owe is a debt of gratitude to the God who rescued you. Divine consequences are the ultimate teachers. While you were busy trying to heal them, God was busy trying to protect you. He let the separation happen to start two simultaneous processes, healing you and humbling them. For every tear you swallowed, for every night you stayed up questioning your own sanity because of their gaslighting, God was keeping count. And now, the bill has come due. They have to face themselves now. No more using you as a distraction from their own flaws. The silence tells the truth that their words tried to bury. This isn't just about moving on. It's about a total vibe shift. You are no longer a victim of their mishandling. You are a victor of divine redirection. Your destiny outgrew their disrespect. Your future was being delayed by people who were addicted to hurting you, so God cleared the path. Now, you've learned the most valuable lesson of all. Love without boundaries is just self-destruction. You finally understand that the right people won't just receive your love, they will protect it like the treasure it is. So, as you walk forward into this new season, keep your head high. You didn't lose when they walked away. You won when God stepped in. You weren't rejected. You were repositioned for a level of peace and prosperity they can't even imagine. Let them feel the absence. Let them deal with the void, because what you brought into their life was divine. And now that it's gone, they are finally feeling the weight of what they did. You were the blessing they couldn't see, because they were blinded by their own ego. But now, in this silence, their eyes are wide open. They are living in the echo of a blessing they ignored, while you are walking into the reality of a favor you earned. The story of the ruin is over. The story of your empire begins now. They are currently learning that you cannot replace a masterpiece with a substitute. You were the one who brought order to their chaos. The one who saw the version of them that didn't even exist yet and loved them into believing it was possible. You were their intercessor, their silent supporter, and their most loyal soldier. But they mistook your loyalty for a lack of options. They thought you stayed because you had nowhere else to go, never realizing you stayed because your heart was a reflection of a higher love. Now, that reflection is gone, and they are left staring into a mirror that only shows their own darkness. This is the power of the divine shift. When God moves you, He doesn't just change your location, He changes the atmosphere. You were the blessing that they couldn't see, because they were too blinded by their own pride. They were so familiar with your presence that they became numb to your value. But familiarity is the thief of appreciation. They got used to the way you listened, used to the way you forgave, and used to the way you sacrificed your own peace for theirs. And because they got used to it, they stopped valuing it. That's why the removal had to be absolute. God had to take the blessing off the table so they could finally understand the weight of the void. And let's be honest with ourselves, you were tired. You were pouring from an empty cup, trying to sustain a structure that was never meant to hold your weight. You were fighting for a seat at a table where you were never fed. You were bleeding out while they were asking for more. God saw that your spirit was being crushed, and because you belonged to Him, He refused to let the destruction be final. He rescued your purpose from a place that was designed to drain it. He moved you so you could breathe again. He moved you so you could hear His voice over their noise. Now, as you step into this new season, you'll notice something beautiful. The healing isn't just a recovery, it's a revelation. You are beginning to realize that you are not the rejected one, or the relocated one. You are being positioned among people who don't just take your light but match it. You are moving toward environments where your loyalty is seen as a rare currency, not a cheap commodity. You are walking into a future where your peace is protected, not exploited. So, let the silence do the work. Don't feel the need to send that one last text. Do you feel the need to explain your side of the story to people who are dedicated to misinterpreting it? Your absence is the most powerful sermon you will ever preach. It is teaching them about the cost of disrespect. It is teaching them about the value of a heart like yours. And while they are stuck in the classroom of regret, you are out in the field of your own destiny, building something that will last. You are no longer the one bleeding for their bandage. You are the one being rebuilt by the architect of the universe. Your value was never determined by their inability to see it, and your future was never dependent on their approval. You were the blessing then, and you are the blessing now. Only now. You're a blessing that knows its worth. You're a blessing that has boundaries. You're a blessing that is no longer available for mishandling. Walk forward with your head held high. The vibe shift has occurred. You have traded their chaos for His clarity, their manipulation for His mercy, and their weight for His wings. They finally feel what they did to you, and that is their journey to walk. Your journey is upward. Your journey is onward. Your journey is home. In the high-stakes journey of the spirit, there is a final, staggering truth you must embrace. Your value was never up for debate. You see, when the world tries to dim your radiance, it's not because you're doing something wrong, it's because your light is exposing their darkness. And that, my friend, is exactly why the separation was so visceral. It had to be. If it hadn't been painful, you wouldn't have let go. If it hadn't been a shock to your system, You would have stayed in that toxic loop until there was nothing left of your soul. But you were never designed to be a sacrifice for someone else's dysfunction. You were designed to be a masterpiece of divine intention. Now, let's talk about the long shadow of regret that is currently stretching across their lives. As the days turn into weeks, and the weeks into months, the void you left behind isn't shrinking, it's expanding. They are starting to realize that they didn't just lose a person. They lost a frequency. They lost the vibe shift that only you could provide. They're looking for you in other people, but they're finding only hollow substitutes. They're trying to replicate the conversations you had, the support you gave, and the way you made them feel like they could take on the world, but it's not working because you are the secret sauce in their life, and they threw the recipe away. That is the ultimate consequence. Not a bolt of lightning from the sky, but the slow, agonizing realization that they had the best the universe had to offer, and they treated it like it was common. But while they are stuck in the echo chamber of yesterday, you are moving into the architecture of tomorrow. You are beginning to realize that the space they once occupied in your heart was actually a prison cell, and the key was turned the moment they walked away. You are discovering a level of mental sovereignty you never knew existed. Without their constant gaslighting, your mind is becoming a clear, sharp instrument of creation. Without their emotional vampirism, your energy is surging back to levels you haven't felt since you were a child. You are becoming an industrialist of the soul, taking the raw materials of your pain and building a skyscraper of purpose that the world cannot ignore. This is the season of the great restoration. For every hour you spent crying over them, the divine is giving you a year of peace. For every word of mockery they whispered behind your back, you are receiving a shout of praise from those who truly see you. You are being upgraded in real time. Your social circle is being refined. Your professional path is being cleared. And your internal vibe is shifting from survival mode to dominance mode. No longer look at the past with a "why did this happen to me" mindset. You look at it with a "thank God this happened for me" conviction. You realize that you are the hero of a story that they weren't even qualified to read. Let's be clear about one thing. The people who mishandled you will try to come back. They always. Though, when the reality of their loss finally settles in, they will try to re-enter your atmosphere. They will send the checking-in texts, the "I've been thinking about you" messages, and the "can we talk" requests. But a king doesn't reopen a border that was closed for security reasons. A queen doesn't let a peasant back into the throne room after they tried to steal the crown. You must maintain the sovereign silence. You must realize that their regret is not the same as their repentance. They don't miss you. They miss how you made them feel about themselves. They don't miss your soul. They miss your service. And you are no longer in the business of serving those who don't honor the server. The architecture of the unseen is now reaching its most critical phase. You are laying the capstone on your new life. You are building a fortress of boundaries that are so high and so strong that only the worthy can even see the gate. You are learning that no is a complete sentence, and that your time is the most expensive currency in the world. You are no longer available for crumbs. You are no longer open for manipulation. You are closed for renovations. And the finished product is going to be a masterpiece that leaves the crowd speechless. You are the phoenix that didn't just rise from the ashes. You took the ashes and built a brand new city. As you walk forward, understand that the divine separation was the greatest gift you've never asked for. It was the surgery you needed to save your life. It was the audit that exposed the leaks in your energy. And now, you are liquidated and ready for the massive influx of favor that is coming your way. The world is waiting for your next move, not the broken version of you, but the rebuilt, refined, and re-energized version of you. The version that knows its worth. The version that understands its power. The version that is unapologetically sovereign. Have you ever wondered what makes a legacy truly last? What separates a fleeting moment of fame from an impact that echoes through centuries? It's not always about grand monuments or epic battles. Sometimes, the most unbreakable legacies are built on quiet courage, relentless curiosity, and a single, powerful idea that changes everything. Think about the story of the Library of Alexandria, a place that held the collective knowledge of the ancient world. When it burned, it was a catastrophic loss, but was the legacy of knowledge destroyed? No. The ideas, the philosophies, the scientific principles had already been shared. They lived on in the minds of scholars, were copied onto new scrolls, and traveled across continents. The legacy wasn't the building. It was the information itself. An idea so powerful it couldn't be contained by stone walls or consumed by fire. It proved that knowledge, once shared, is truly unbreakable. Or consider the legacy of someone like Marie Curie. She worked in a field dominated by men, facing skepticism and limited resources. She pursued her research with a passion that was almost obsessive, handling radioactive materials with little understanding of the immense danger. Her work not only led to 2 Nobel Prizes in different scientific fields, a feat still unmatched, but it also laid the foundation for modern nuclear physics and cancer treatments. Her legacy isn't just in the element she discovered, polonium, named after her beloved homeland. It's in every X-ray machine, every radiation therapy session, and every scientist, especially every woman, who was inspired by her sheer determination to follow the evidence, no matter where it led. She built a legacy that saves lives every single day. What about the world of art? Vincent van Gogh sold only 1 painting in his lifetime. He was plagued by mental health struggles and lived in poverty, often seen as a failure by his contemporaries. Yet, he continued to paint. He poured his soul onto the canvas, capturing the world not just as it was, but as he felt it, with swirling stars, vibrant sunflowers, and electric colors. His legacy wasn't built on commercial success or critical acclaim during his life. It was built in a small room, with brushes and paint, driven by a need to express his unique vision. Today, his work moves millions, a testament to the idea that true art transcends time and circumstance. His legacy is a powerful reminder that your value isn't determined by the applause you receive today, but by the authenticity and passion you pour into your work. These stories teach us something profound. An unbreakable legacy isn't about being perfect or invincible. It's about resilience. It's about the messy, human struggle to create something meaningful, to push the boundaries of what's possible, and to share your gift with the world, even when no one seems to be watching. It's the teacher who inspires a student who goes on to change the world. It's the parent who instills kindness in their child, creating a ripple effect of compassion that spreads for generations. It's the community organizer who fights for a small, local change that improves countless lives over time. Think about the invisible legacies all around us, the legal precedents that protect our rights, the musical compositions that form the soundtrack of our lives, the recipes passed down through families that connect us to our heritage. These are all threads in the vast tapestry of human history, woven by countless individuals who chose to build, to create, to share. The fascinating thing is, we all have the power to contribute to this tapestry. Our legacy isn't something that's decided for us after we're gone. It's something we are actively building, right now, with every choice we make, every act of kindness, every moment we choose curiosity over judgment, every time we share our knowledge or our passion with someone else. We are laying a brick in the foundation of our own unbreakable legacy. It doesn't have to be something that gets recorded in history books. A legacy of love, of integrity, of laughter within a family is just as powerful and just as enduring. So, what will your legacy be? What are you building, day by day? It's a powerful question, and the answer isn't found in one grand gesture, but in the sum of our daily actions. The world is shaped by those who show up, those who dare to care, and those who believe that their small contribution can make a lasting difference. Because history shows us, time and time again, that the most powerful forces in the universe are often the most quiet. An idea, an act of love, a persistent spirit. These are the things that can't be broken. Thanks so much for watching and thinking about these ideas with me. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into the stories that shape our world. I'll see you in the next one. Now, we reach the final, untouchable peak of this journey. The sovereign finality. This is the moment where the healing stops being a process and becomes your permanent state of being. You see, the world has a way of testing a newly rebuilt soul. It will send echoes of the past to see if you still have a leak in your energy. It will bring up old memories, old faces, and old what-ifs, just to see if you will stumble. But the version of you that stands here today is not the same person who was crushed in the ruins. You have been through the fire, you have survived the silence, and you have mastered the removal. You aren't just over it, you are beyond it. You have reached a level of internal gravity where nothing from the past can pull you back into its orbit. The people who mishandled you are now realizing that their judgment of you was actually a judgment of themselves. Bilusinju. They lost their mirror. Without your grace to cover their flaws, they are forced to look at their own reflections in the cold, hard light of day. They are currently navigating the labyrinth of regret, searching for a way to get back to the peace you provided. But the door is gone. It wasn't just closed, it was erased by the divine. Because once a blessing is truly retracted, it cannot be recovered by the one who threw it away. They are learning the ultimate law of the spirit. You cannot disrespect the source and keep the flow. They are thirsty for the water you once provided, but the well has been relocated to a land they can no longer reach. But your focus is no longer on their thirst. It is on your harvest. You are now standing in the garden of absolute clarity. You look at your life, and you see the divine logic in every heartbreak. You see how the betrayal taught you discernment. You see how the isolation taught you independence. You see how the silence taught you to hear the whisper of your own intuition. You realize that you didn't just survive a toxic situation, you were refined by it, like gold being purged of its dross. You have come out pure, heavy, and incredibly valuable. You are no longer seeking validation because you have become your own highest authority. You have shifted the vibe from needing to being. In the year 2026, the most powerful currency is not Muniet, is unshakable peace. And that is what you now possess. You move through the world with a slow power. You don't rush, you don't beg, and you certainly don't explain yourself to those who aren't on your frequency. You have developed a royal disdain for drama and a sacred appetite for purpose. Your time is now a temple, and you are the high priest of your own energy. You only allow in the things and the people that match the empire-level frequency you have worked so hard to build. You have realized that no is not just a boundary. It is a declaration of self-love. This is the eternal return to the self. For years, you were a ghost in your own life, living for everyone else, bleeding for people who wouldn't even offer you a bandage. But now, the life force has returned to its rightful owner. You are the protagonist of your own story. You are the architect of your own joy. You are the king of your own inner ruin. And the ruins have been replaced by a palace of light. The separation was the most expensive gift you ever received, and you are finally ready to spend the wealth of wisdom it gave you. You are building a legacy that is disaster-proof because it wasn't built on the approval of man, but on the protection of the divine. As the music fades and the screen goes dark, let this be the final seal on your heart. You were never rejected. You were selected. You were selected for a life of depth, a life of power, and a life of unapologetic sovereignty. The people who lost you will spend years trying to find another you, but they will fail because God only makes one of a masterpiece. You are rare, you are real, and you are finally free. The removal is complete. The restoration is absolute. The vibe shift is eternal. Go forward. Don't look back. The sun is rising on an empire that belongs entirely to you. Your time is coming. Keep believing. Keep fighting. Don't just watch. Go out and prove them wrong. Thank you for being part of the journey. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.